Ever heard of Thomas the Tank Engine? If you have been around little kids between the ages of 2 and around 7 or so, I'm sure you have. My son or Edward Thomas adored Thomas so much so that he could name every single train he knew, what color they were, and what number they had painted on them. I was glad when I heard he was coming to visit me over the summer, but I had a ton of work to do. So I bought him a Thomas DVD. The cover looked innocent enough. Thomas was smiling, and the little wooden children were waving their arms out of the windows in his solstice. The DVD was called Thomas and the Children. He was so excited to see the DVD that right off the bat he pleaded with me to pop it in to the DVD player. I went to work. While he watched the DVD, I was horrified. After a few hours, he came into my office looking as pale as a sheep. I'd asked him what the matter is. He told me something horrible. Daddy? His voice seemed weak as hell. Are you okay? I said. I touched his head. I noticed that his temperature had gone up. Why did Thomas kill the children? My heart sank like a stone, but I soon brushed it off. I'm sure Thomas didn't kill the children. I reasoned with him. Now, you need your rest and some medicine. I gently pushed him towards his room. Come on. After putting him to bed, I got curious as what he had seen. I popped the DVD and began to watch the episode play. There was no main menu like most DVDs. It just went straight to the episode. It seemed normal enough. Thomas was told to take a group of children to the seaside. By the instructions of Sir Top and Hat, I noticed something odd, though. There was no narrator in this episode. The episode then showed Thomas picking up the little wooden children and showed every single one of them climb on board. Then there was a scene with zooming down the rails like he always did, and the children were cheering. But then there was trouble, as they said. Birdie, the bus, was stuck on the rail tracks. This is when the episode got strange. Birdie stared at Thomas in fear, but the little blue train just smiled and sped up. What was even more disheartening is he stared and laughing. The children were crying, and the little tears could be seen painted on their faces. Thomas crashed into Birdie, causing the pieces of both to go flying everywhere, unsoundly. By now, the narrator would say, and luckily no one was hurt. But there was no reassurance for kids. The episode then showed the carnage on the inside of the coaches. Wooden lips were broken off. It looked like actual blood had been splattered everywhere. Heads had been ripped off from the bodies of the wooden dolls. And worse yet, the children still had tears upon their faces. Everything went to static After that I felt myself boiling over with anger. What sicko would create something that messed up for kids? Then I paused the static. Messages started to appear on the screen, disturbing messages like kill, obey, multiply, and die. I watched the static for over an hour, and I noticed at the least 30 different messages. I threw the accursed thing in the trash after breaking it in half. I would not expose my child to any more of that trash. Before going to bed myself, I checked him. He was happily asleep, snoring, cuddling his teddy. I had nightmares from this. One were the children came into my room, but they were lifelike and as tall as a normal person. Their twisted forms grabbed my limbs and pulled my room, but they were lifelike and as tall as normal person. Their twisted forms grabbed my limbs, pulled me apart while I heard the blasted train laughing. Now I've woken up, covered in blood, a knife in my hand, and now I'm afraid to check my son's room. But I did. To find, instead of the kid, the DVD I broke sitting there. I looked beside me. My son was standing with a Thomas the Tank Engine doll. He smiled at me and died.